My entire trading journey started maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know how many of you guys out there know or remember back in 2019, um, the Forex trading space was kind of blowing up, and there was one big reason why. I lost thousands of dollars before I figured out how to actually hone in on the skill of trading and actually start making some progress and making some money. I lost thousands of dollars in trading before I actually figured out how to continue to get better and actually start making some money in trading. My journey started in 2019. So I graduated high school in 2014, and a few years later, I happened to stumble across some Instagram story posts from one of my old friends. For the sake of the video, let's just say his name is James. James and I went back a little ways. It was maybe about 3 or 4 years since high school. We went to high school together. We were on the freshman football team. I only played football for 1 year. For that 1 year, he was one of the friends that I made. It was kind of like a friend of a friend type of thing. We were never that close. It's not like I hung out of school with him or anything. I saw him at school. I say what's up, and we just kind of move along our way. But James, a few years later, we stayed in touch. I had him on Instagram, and he would post a lot of stories like every single day. And a lot of the time, I saw as time went on, he started posting like a lot of motivational stuff. So he'd post a bunch of like quotes, and he would post a lot of goals that he had for himself. And he seemed really motivated. And James was someone that was always a hustler. Since I knew him in high school, he always had nice things. He always worked hard, at least from what I could tell. He always had a job. He always had a car. So I figured, this guy's posting. He's posting about money. He's posting about goals. He's posting about motivation, these quotes and all this stuff he's doing and working on. And one thing that really caught my eye that he kept posting were these screens. And they were just like numbers, these blue numbers. And I just saw them, stacked up on the screen. And I saw as much sometimes as $1,000. And this guy was posting every day. So I was like, man, this guy's got to be like killing it. $1,000 a day. In my head, I'm like, what is he doing to make that money? Like, what? I need to know. So I end up actually messaging him on one of the stories that he posted. And I asked him, I was like, yo, James, like, what, I see you're doing a lot of good things. You're making a lot of money. What is this thing you keep posting? Like, I'm seeing all these like charts. I'm seeing these screens of just profit and money that you're making. Like, what's going on? Like, what are you getting into? Tell me a little about it. Right. Really just genuinely curious and just wondering like how he's making all this money. And, one thing led to another. He kind of explained to me like he's, doing this thing called trading. And I'm kind of wondering at the time, I didn't even know, like, the only, as much as I knew was the stock market, that it existed. I didn't even know what a stock truly actually was or how it worked, let alone Forex or how that worked. So I figured, when I'm looking at it like, okay, this guy's an investor or something, he's, I don't know, he's investing in something, stocks, whatever, but he's making money. He's telling me there's this thing called trading. I've been doing this. I'm in this group. I have this group of people, like we do this together. We're putting a lot of people on. We're all making a lot of money together. You got to like come in on this. So right away, I'm thinking like, wow, like, good thing I messaged this guy. Like right away, I felt like there was just like this opportunity falling in my lap. I was really young. I always had a job, but I definitely wasn't making anywhere near the type of money that he was posting on his Instagram posts. And I was like, okay. And he was like, listen, I'm going to send you this Zoom link and I want you to click on this, or I want you to join this call, tonight. So, cause it was like a Friday night or something like that. I messaged him. And I didn't have much going on, and I was really intrigued because I was kind of excited. So I was like, you know what? Okay, let's do it. So he sends me a Zoom link, and it was for 8 p.m. that night. And I found it weird. That was kind of like the first kind of weird red flag, I guess, that I noticed because, again, I know this guy for a few years. I'm pretty sure he still had my phone number. We know each other in real life. Why would you send me like a Zoom link to talk to you? Yeah, I didn't ask too many questions. I think it was like 5 or 6 p.m. at that time. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I'll figure it out. We're a couple hours away. I'll join the call and just see like, what's going on. So anyways, the time comes, I joined this Zoom link, and the first thing I noticed, there's like a bunch of people on this call. maybe like 15, 20 people. And from the looks of it, I got like, I was seeing like some faces, and some of them just looked very blank, like they didn't really know what was going on. And then there was like a couple guys, including James, that were really animated. So immediately they're introducing themselves. And right before I jumped on the call, James has sent me a text. He was like, listen, this guy that's about to speak to us, he's my mentor. This guy's a millionaire. He's self-made and he's killing it right now. And he's making sure that all of us, including me, are making a lot of money. Like, you need to tap in with this guy. So I'm like, I'm like, okay, this is weird. It's weird that you have like this mentor that's really good at making money, and all I had to do was kind of message you on Instagram, and all of a sudden I'm kind of on a call about to learn all the secrets of life and how to make $1 million. But anyways, I joined the call, and immediately this guy, his name's Biva. His name's Biva J. And man, sometimes it's a little bit embarrassing to think back, because if you join a call with a millionaire mentor that's going to teach you how to make a boatload of money, and his name is Biva J, and you fall for that, you probably deserve to take the L on that one. I obviously did, but this guy he had a bunch of face tats like all over his face. So immediately just like really stood out, and he starts the call. And he starts by just asking people like about themselves. Like, he's going around the call, like pointing out different faces. He's like, okay, what do you do for a living? What's your name? What do you do for a living? How much do you make there? What are some of your goals? What are you trying to do? And then he starts asking weird questions like, is your mom retired? Is your dad retired? Like, have you ever bought your dad a house? Have you bought your mom a house? And then you see guys going around the room, they're going one by one, and like, no, I haven't. And really, I have never seen human beings that can say so many words but not say nothing at the same time. And it's so hard to explain, like, if you've never experienced like something like I Am Academy back in the day, because they would just work you up. Like, they would just literally motivate you. Like, they would just be trying to get you excited, and you wouldn't even know what you're excited about. Like, you're just amped. And I don't know why. There was not a single, like, not a word of actual technical advice or sound like financial advice in that call. Their sole intent in that conversation was for them to convince us that for whatever reason, we were destined to be on that call, and that these people were destined to speak to us because we were now in on some circle of just making a boatload of money. We were all going to get rich, but we had to take action. We had to sign up. We had to sign up to learn how to trade from these guys. But they didn't talk about trading at all. They didn't show any profits. They didn't show any results. They didn't talk about trading. It was just a bunch of motivational mumbo jumbo, saying a bunch of words without saying nothing. But at the end of the day, I kind of just rode off the fact that I knew my friend James. And I was like, you know what? I don't have really very much to lose. I'm already kind of not in the best situation. Whatever. I've spent $100 on a bunch of worse things in my life. Like, I'm just going to take the chance. It was $100 a month membership fee. So I paid it. I was like, whatever. These guys claim to have a bunch of tools to teach me how to trade. They say they do these classes and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So long story short, if you guys didn't already know, I Am Academy is just a pyramid scheme, right? Their whole thing is you sign up, you pay a membership, like a monthly fee, and you sign a bunch of other people up. And then they also pay a membership fee all down under you like a pyramid. And the more people you sign up, the more money you make, right? That's how a pyramid scheme works. And that's all it was at the end of the day. And, obviously I made it with them. Only a couple months, but that was my introduction to trading. But I didn't learn actually anything about trading from them. But if it wasn't for that opportunity, it's likely I maybe would have never stumbled across a trader or kind of actually piqued any interest in learning a little bit more. I started trading Forex through I Am Academy, typically for the most part, unregulated brokers on an app, MT4. I don't know if you guys remember. A lot of people used to use it back in the day. I think some people use like MT5. Maybe some people still use MT4. But I used to trade unregulated brokers, like 500 to 1 leverage, Forex. Traded gold. I traded some indices on there. But really, I had no strategy. I was literally just trading a set of indicators. Like I had my screen looked like a laser show, like lines and squiggly bars and clouds. Like, I would change up. I would use Hakanashi candles and then go back and use lines, and it was just a mess of a screen. And obviously, it took me time to realize that the only way to actually have an edge in the market, or at least in my opinion, is to actually understand price action. No matter what your strategy is, it needs to be based in price action. It can't be based on a set of indicators lining up. I learned obviously with time that indicators are, though they're a good tool for additional confluence with how you're trading, and it just confirms, I guess, momentum. What you're looking at on the screen as far as price action, they're lagging. They're lagging data, and price action is the only true indicator for successful trading, in my opinion. So I went from Forex and trading with a bunch of these, just indicators, no real strategy, and then I moved on to crypto. So in like 2020, 2021, for me at least, I started learning a lot about crypto. And I was in this circle of just like crypto day traders, people trading Ethereum and Bitcoin specifically on very high leverage, again, unregulated brokers on MT4. And for me, it was a lot more attractive because Forex seemed a lot more inconsistent and less volatile, I guess, less inconsistent as far as volume and volatility. Crypto at that time, for me, especially on very high leverage, was extremely volatile. Of course, that led for some pretty big days that got me excited and wanted me to keep going and try to make some more. But I also had some really horrible days where I lost it all at once. So I lost thousands of dollars trying that. And then eventually I learned about options. Options were a very interesting step in my trading career because for the first time, I was gaining trust in an asset or set of assets within the stock market that I felt like fundamentally I understood more. They're kind of just built to go up, and that's kind of where my love for the stock market grew, because crypto, at least at the time, wasn't an asset I think that a lot of people had as much faith in maybe as they would like now in 2026, as a stable asset, more stable asset. Forex was just all over the place. They go into these long bear and bull cycles, right? But when I looked at the stock market, I was like, man, this thing is literally made to go up. So I fell in love. And, I went from trading Discord. I went from trading Discord to trading Discord. And I made some money. I lost some money. But I started to learn more fundamentals as far as price action goes. And I credit that to a few different names, but I would follow a few guys on YouTube. A big inspiration, like early on in my trading career, when I made that transition to options, was Man's Trades on X. Financial Twitter was really big. Like when I started getting into options was the first time I was really tapped into FinTwit. I started realizing that Twitter was like this hub for finance news and for traders to kind of talk about their ideas and the state of the market and different stocks that they believe in, they're invested in. So this was exciting because it was the first time in my trading career that I felt like I actually had a little bit of traction under my feet. Up until then, it felt like I was just wandering around like aimlessly, like I had no direction. And this was the first time I did. I remember the first time I actually made some decent money on one trade was actually trading options. Funny enough, I paid, I was paying again membership for some guy sending out signals, just trying to learn in any way I could. Spent so much money just trying to join discords and like pick people's brains and look at, learn people's strategies. And this guy, he would just send signals through an iMessage. It was a group of like 20 people on iMessage. And one day, I think it was like a Beyond call or something like that. And I hit a 200% zero DTE. And that for me was just like amazing. It was amazing. I think I over leveraged the heck out of my account. But I remember being up like 600, 650 bucks, and I was on a plane. I was taking a vacation. I usually only take like one a year, and I was going across the country. So my ticket was pretty expensive. And I just remember being in my head, like, man, I just made literally what I spent on my plane ticket on one trade. It felt like I clicked a couple buttons and I made all this money, and I was hooked. I was hooked, and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn how I could change my life and be more consistent. As time went on, obviously I was more inconsistent. I was kind of up and down with options. I had more traction, but truly nothing really broke away for me. It was hard because I was constantly on the hunt for like the next play as far as stocks were concerned. And I found myself having this watch list of just 100 or 150 stocks where I'm scanning every single day. But if I felt really hard, especially as an up and coming trader, at least at the time, for me to find my footing as far as trading a very consistent model. And at that same time, my friend put me on to prop firms. I was new to futures, but I wasn't new to indices. So when I found out that there were futures, with the underlying asset of the Nasdaq or the XPX, I was like, this is amazing, right? I'm still trading the stock market, right? I'm still trading stocks, which for me are fundamentally really easy to understand because they're built to go up. And I finally feel like I had the way to trade with very little capital, because that was always a big deal for me. I never had a lot of money to put into my trading. So it felt like, I felt like I was never able to truly scale. It always felt like, okay, you deposit a few $100 and I was already inconsistent. So you just go up and down and up and down. You end up losing that. But I never made any like real money until I found prop firms. And I found this way through prop firms to make money with very, very little leverage, right? So it takes me to today. It's been a crazy journey, 6, 7 years. Today, I still trade prop firms. I'm very focused on, scaling my payouts. I did very well in 2025. For me, it was my best year as far as trading goes. Definitely nothing life-changing, not going to lie. But I have a big goal this year. I want to hit 30K in payouts. I put that out into the universe. And I'm trying to be really intentional about scaling my trading. And I'm going to do that through prop firms. And I'm going to display a lot of that on this channel. Win, lose, or draw, whatever the case may be. I want to make it an effort to kind of journal this year. But that's my journey from the disaster, scams, and pyramid schemes with IM Academy, trading Forex on unregulated brokers, losing thousands of dollars, trading Bitcoin at 3 a.m. and first thing in the morning, late at night, being a degen, and then trading options and hitting my first few big plays, but not really being able to like hone in on any one asset, and then finding prop firms. And I truly feel like now in my trading career, I found my thing. I found now where I feel like I can really find a footing as far as making this a really solid income and turning it from a light side income to truly, hopefully at some point, an amount of money I can live on and build, incomes around. So yeah, that's my story. That's how I got into trading. I know there's a lot of people that have been doing it much less time and much more successful than me. And there's people that have been going much longer than me and still haven't made anything. If there's one thing I've learned, everyone's journey is completely different. And I'm just here trying to beat myself every day. So hopefully you guys are doing the same. If you guys like this type of content, a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of insight on kind of my journey, hopefully you guys can relate. Leave a comment down below. Were you guys in IM Academy? Have you guys come from the Forex era, 2019, 2020 Forex? Did you used to trade, crypto on high leverage and make your way to prop firms too? Let me know down in the comments. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm really trying to grow this channel. I appreciate every single person. I genuinely do, that just clicks the like button. I notice it. I appreciate it. It keeps me going. So thank you. We got big goals this year. And this is just the start. So I appreciate you guys. Until the next one. Thank you.